Hey guys, my name is Christopher and welcome to It's Complicated. It's a show where I talk about and showcase usually mechanical wristwatches. So if you like mechanical wristwatches like I do, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button and then click on the little bell next to that subscribe button and you're going to be all set. Today I'm going to be showcasing the Invicta Sea Hunter, reference number 18824. Here we go. All right, today we're checking out the Invicta Sea Hunter 70mm second generation, reference number 18824. Now, it does come in this nice yellow box here, nice texture on top, not one of those enormous bins that some of these Invictas tend to come in at times. But we're not really buying the watch for the box now, are we? Let's check out the watch, and boom, there it is, the Sea Hunter. Now let's talk a little bit about this watch. This is one of the biggest watches Invicta makes. They make watches with a case size bigger than this one, if you can believe that, but I don't think they make one that measures larger from case to crown. Let's get into price. Now this is one of the many things people don't like about Invicta watches. Let's look at the price tag on here. There it is, $1,995. Well, I paid $275 for this thing brand new. That's over 85% off. Invicta is notorious for doing this, basically lying to their customers about what their products are worth and then offering ridiculous discounts on them, hoping newcomers to the watch world think they're getting some kind of amazing deal. Now let's talk about the size of this watch. I'm laughing a little bit because this thing is almost comical. It's so big. Now, I will say, I understand if you're a bodybuilder and your arms are just massive and you want to rock a watch that weighs over 1 pound and is that thick. Okay, fair enough. But even Schwarzenegger in Predator, wearing that Schwarzenegger Seiko as it's nicknamed, that watch was 45mm. That's bigger than any watch in my collection, but it's not ridiculous. This watch is 58mm from case to case, and from case to crown is 70mm. 70mm. Now that might sound and look like a lot as I'm holding it here, but let's pull out my 36mm Rolex Datejust and have a look. I mean, that is ridiculous. Okay, fine. You think the 36mm is small? Let's get out the 44mm Seiko Willard. Come on, this thing is just so over the top. It's obnoxious is what it is. And just look at the thickness. I think it's 23mm top to bottom. That is insanity. Now you might think the size of this watch is silly, but wait until you see what a watch this size is protecting. I'm talking about the movement. The Sea Hunter here is rocking a quartz movement. Ronda Z60 quartz chronograph. That's what this watch is hiding? A quartz chronograph that costs about $20 if you get the Swiss parts version? Yikes. I mean, look at this thing inside the watch. It has a day and date feature. There's the date feature right there where it's 13. Kind of hard to see sometimes because this dial is very busy, but we'll get into that. And it has a chronograph feature that times seconds and minutes up to, oh, that comes off because it's not very securely on there. Anyways, as I was saying, it does have a chronograph feature that times seconds and the minutes up to 30 minutes. Now, to use that, click this button, and there it starts. Stop it. Oh, sorry. Stop it with this button, and then reset it with that button. Now, as I said, this watch does have a day feature on it. Let me show you the biggest thing I dislike about this watch. Okay, 14, 15, 16, fine, easy enough, right? Now we're on Tuesday, day of the week. Let's change the day. We're getting there. We're getting there. There's no faster way to do this on the old 70mm Sea Hunter. There we go, Wednesday. Can you imagine having to do that more than one day? Oh, man. And this thing just doesn't. I mean, look at that. You can just like slap it right out of there. It does not secure the dial at all. And again, just to reaffirm here, I bought this brand new. Now, as far as actual timekeeping goes, this is going to be decent because this is a quartz movement. So accuracy, this is going to keep pretty accurate time. Got to give it credit there. Now let's look at the case on this thing. It is made of 316 stainless steel. It does have a holes case, which is kind of surprising. I guess they chose to do that as a style thing. There's a few other really odd things on this watch too. You see the pushers for the chronograph, how they're textured? Like you could push them down and screw them in. No, that's just there for show. Now I've mentioned a lot that this is a second generation 70. I mean, it's really that cheap. I've mentioned a lot that this is a second generation Sea Hunter 70 millimeter. And the reason I mention that is because this does not push down and screw in like the textures would have you believe. The first generations did have a screw-in crown. So worth mentioning there. Before I forget, we got to check out the back of the case. And look, this thing already. Oh, whatever, what a joke. Now, check it out. It has a display back with a little propeller there. Now, the propeller doesn't move, okay? It doesn't move. But it has a display back for a quartz movement. Wow, I just don't... Man, this is just unbelievable. Next, I want to talk to you guys about the weight of the Sea Hunter 70 millimeter. Now, this watch does weigh over 17 ounces. That is over 1 pound. Who would want to lug this thing around? For comparison, okay, in grams, let's take a Datejust. 94 grams, okay? Let's take the Willard. 97 grams. Now, let's take the Sea Hunter 70 millimeter. 484 grams. It's a wild ride. Now, let's talk about something good with this watch, the bezel. Bezel turns real nice. You can hear those clicks. 120 click unidirectional bezel, so can't complain much there. Let's talk about the crystal. The crystal is something Invicta calls a flame fusion crystal, which they claim is the best of both worlds in impact resistance and scratch resistance. It doesn't have anywhere near the scratch resistance of a sapphire crystal. These are pretty much on par with a Hardlex crystal, which isn't a bad thing for a wristwatch. It's just not what Invicta tries to sell it as in this commercial.
So you have both of the signature properties of the impact resistance from the mineral crystal and also the scratch resistance from the sapphire crystal. So you get both of those aspects protecting your watch for you. It's a little bit more of an expensive process.
No, it's not. Let's have a look at the dial and the hands of this watch. Can you say busy? Because there are things all over this dial that aren't even related to its complications. There's plus signs all over the dial. Part of the date wheel is see-through. Lines kind of like vent around the seconds and the day wheel. It's a legible dial, but it is screaming for attention. Here's a shot I got of the lume. The lume on this piece isn't very bright and it doesn't hold much of a charge. Really shows why it's only $275. I thought the lume would be better for some reason. Let's look at the bracelet on this thing. Huge, huge bracelet. It's 30 millimeters, polished center links and brushed stainless outside links. The clasp on this watch is actually pretty decent. Once you get it secured, it's on there. You know, it's not going anywhere. But how much it snaps and the way you have to really push to get it off makes it feel a little cheap. But overall, I think it's a decent clasp. Here's what you've been waiting for. And there it is on my wrist. Wow, I had to put the little fluff thing just to keep it on there. But there it is. That's what it would look like if you were just walking around. This thing's over a pound. Who would want to lug this around? I just don't get it. There it is. Last time I'll be wearing one of these. That's the showcase. Final thoughts on that watch. I don't think anybody could really pull that off without screaming for attention. Let's say I go out to a restaurant and I'm rocking the old Seiko Willard here. No one's gonna see this from a mile away and go, what is that? You know, you have to be into watches to see this and appreciate the horology of this piece. It's the same really with both of my Rolex watches. I can spot a nice watch on somebody out and about because I'm into mechanical wristwatches. But that thing, anybody could see that from a gazillion miles away. It is 70 millimeters big and it is screaming, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at my watch, look at my watch. And yeah, like I said, maybe if you're a bodybuilder, but Schwarzenegger was what, 9-time Mr. Olympian and he's rocking a 45 millimeter watch? Stallone's rocking a Panerai? Nobody's rocking a 70 millimeter Invicta watch. Now, Invicta does make decent watches. I've showcased the Pro Diver on this channel, and it's a good watch for the price. They even make some mechanical watches with Swiss movements in them. I believe they even make watches that are all Swiss made, although I'm not 100% sure on that. But it is my opinion that the giant watches like the Sea Hunter 18824 are just for people that want to say, look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at the 20-year-old car I'm driving and boasting about, and look at the traffic cone I just reviewed. Those are the people who enjoy wearing a monstrosity like the Sea Hunter 70 millimeter. And that wraps it up for another episode of It's Complicated. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you like it. If you really liked it, go ahead and share it with all your friends for me. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on another episode of It's Complicated.